Edwin Speaks Up. Mrs. Fenmore was racing around the house. Glue, poop, shoo, noogie, froo, key, baby Edwin was babbling. He was all dressed and ready to go to the supermarket. Mommy, Finny whined, can't we just go? Suddenly, Mrs. Fenmore stopped short. Oh, for Pete's sake, there they are, she said. She reached into Fergus's shoe on the hall table and pulled out her car keys. It was a fine day as Mrs. Fenmore and her 5 children trooped down the front steps and out to their old car. I call the front seat, Fergus hollered. But Mommy, Franny complained, Fergus always gets the front seat. Fergus, Mrs. Fenmore said, putting her hand on her hip, you'll sit in the back today. She plopped Edwin into his car seat. Then she started up the engine and backed down the driveway. Fig button. No. Pocky, booky, froppin' roof, Edwin babbled. Now, children, we absolutely mustn't forget the sugar for Edwin's birthday cake tomorrow, Mrs. Fenmore said, and turned out onto Horatio Avenue. I'm hot. Franny, open your window, Finny shouted. Mom, tell Franny to close her window. My hair's blowing, Fergus hollered. Once they'd parked at Fineson's fine grocery, Mrs. Fenmore looked around the car. Oh dear, I forgot my pocketbook, she said. All the Fenmore children groaned. Wriggle, dee, roofie, plunk. Edwin kicked his little feet. Just then, Mr. Caruso, who'd been loading his groceries nearby, tapped on Miss Fenmore's window. Pardon me, he said, and pointed. Perhaps you should check your roof. Mrs. Fenmore looked up. Well, what do you know? She laughed and marched into Fineson's fine grocery. Mrs. Fenmore had her keys, her pocketbook, her list, and her children. She plunked baby Edwin into the shopping cart and started off up aisle number 1. Children, she announced, remember, your job is to not forget the sugar for Edwin's birthday cake. Glub, foop, boop, sweetie, Edwin babbled. Mrs. Fenmore began throwing apples, pears, grapes, and bananas into the cart. Fiona climbed on the back. It's my turn, Franny screeched and yanked Fiona off. But I just got on. Mommy, make her stop, Fiona howled. Mrs. Fenmore was bagging string beans, grabbing broccoli, and clutching cucumbers. Let's see, what's next on my list, she murmured. Gluty, pooper, doo, no leavey. Edwin kicked his little feet as Mrs. Fenmore rounded aisle number 2, heading for the cracker section. Did someone take my cart? Mrs. Fenmore could hear Mrs. Lutzheimer call from aisle number 1. However could someone lose their cart? Miss Fenmore clucked and shook her head as she turned into aisle 3. Now, children, make sure to get that sugar. Dude, wee fleedum fasty. Mrs. Fenmore heard Edwin giggle in the next aisle. My, where has baby Edwin got to? She said. Suddenly, Mrs. Litzheimer rounded the corner. Excuse me, but I believe you have my cart, she said. Oh, and I believe you have my Edwin. Mrs. Finmore laughed, shook her head, and gave baby Edwin a little kiss. Mrs. Litzheimer took her cart and waved goodbye to Edwin.
Rootin' popple cart. Oh no, sweetie,
Edwin said as all the Finmores rolled toward the ice cream section.
I want chocolate,
Fergus announced.
Mommy,
Fiona moaned.
I don't like chocolate.
Edwin, darling, what flavor ice cream would you like with your cake? Asked Miss Finmore. All 4 Finmore children turned and looked at their little brother.
Dumping chocolate with some sweetened. Do a bye-bye.
Edwin pointed across the store.
I think he said chocolate,
Fergus said.
He said vanilla,
Fiona insisted. Miss Finmore gave a little shrug and threw a pint of each into the cart. Then, off they all rolled to the checkout.
Popping, gruff, shoop, cake, sweet. No,
Edwin said. Franny took the ice cream out of the cart and put it on the checkout belt.
Sweetum, no,
he said a little louder. Oh, Edwin, honey, is your diaper wet? Miss Finmore sighed. Fergus leaned in for the macaroni. Now, isn't it a perfect day? Miss Finmore chatted with the cashier as she began ringing up her groceries. Fiona grabbed the broccoli. Finny begged Miss Finmore for gum, but baby Edwin was quiet. And just as Miss Finmore reached for her pocketbook to pay, baby Edwin dropped 1 large box of sugar onto the belt. It was still a fine day as the Finmores came out of Fineson's fine grocery. Edwin looked up into the sky.
Popple, goo-goo, bird, doula, loopy,
he said. The family piled into their old blue car, and Miss Finmore started the engine.
Rough sweet,
baby Edwin babbled. Mrs. Finmore looked at her youngest and shook her head. Tomorrow is baby Edwin's birthday. He's growing up so fast. Soon he'll be talking. Can you even imagine that? The end. Please subscribe.